And let's make a wild leap, an assumption that George Washington, the father of our country, the great George Washington, let's make this assumption that he was giving his farewell address. I know it's not the right time of year for this, but I was thinking about leadership, and I was thinking about how we don't have any, and where we would be if we had great leadership. And I thought, and one of the most famous speeches of all time, if you've ever read it, it's remarkable, is George Washington's farewell address. Now, it's like 18 pages long, so I won't not bore you, but I won't be able to do that. So I said to myself, let's surmise this. Let's look through it and let's kind of pick apart some of the stuff that we like. And let's say he's standing before you right now at the podium. And he's giving his farewell address to the nation. What would it sound like? Well, it might sound something like this. As I stand before you today, I am deeply troubled by the path of our beloved nation. And I'm deeply troubled by where our nation may go in years to come. My heart is heavy with concern for the freedoms we fought so valiantly to secure during the Revolutionary War. I address you not as George Washington, the man, but as a humble patriot, deeply invested in the fate of this young republic. You see, as I prepare to step down from this presidency, I cannot help but reflect on the challenges we all may face. It is my utmost hope that you, the citizens of this great nation, will listen to my words and heed this warning I am about to offer. One of my gravest concerns is the specter of division. I have witnessed the rise of political factions and regional tensions that threaten to tear us apart. Let us remember that unity was the cornerstone upon which our republic was built. It is imperative that we put aside our differences and stand together as a nation. The danger lies in the fractures that may weaken us, making us vulnerable to external influences and manipulation. We must remember, before all else, we are Americans. We must stand together despite our differences. And our Constitution, my dear fellow Americans, is the bedrock of our democracy. It is the document that guides our government and ensures that power resides with the people. And I implore you to cherish and uphold it. For it is the surest path to a government that can maintain order and safeguard our interests. A strong and an accountable government is essential to our survival as a free and independent nation. This experiment has never been tried before in the history of all of mankind. The eloquent words written by Thomas Jefferson are a blueprint above all else that we must aspire to. As far as our presence on the world stage, I advocate for a policy of neutrality. It is unwise for us to entangle ourselves in conflicts and alliances of other nations. Think of the blood. Think of the treasure we have squandered in the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan. Look how many brave men met their demise in Vietnam. And even now, we have inserted ourselves into a border conflict 5,000 miles from this nation's capital. And by doing so, we risk squandering our resources and potentially plunging into foreign wars that will drain our young nation of its vitality and its resources. But perhaps, most critically, I want to emphasize the importance of civic virtue, morality, education. The character of our people is the very foundation upon which our republic stands. Character above all else. Character counts. The choices we make as individuals and as a society are intertwined with the strength and the prosperity of our nation. It is my hope that you will uphold the highest moral standards, for they are the building blocks of a virtuous and thriving society. The morality of virtue and our connection with God can never waver, ever. We must be careful never to embolden the wickedness and the sins of those who have lost their way. And in my conclusion, my fellow Americans, I share these thoughts not out of despair, but out of a deep and abiding love for our country. I believe in the potential of the United States to endure and to flourish. And let us remember the sacrifices made by those who fought for the independence and those who worked tirelessly to ensure that our republic remains a beacon of freedom and a hope for generations to come. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I step away from this podium no longer the President of the United States, but a citizen. Thank you, George Washington.